Hey, if you're in the chat, say hi. Good morning, good morning. 7 a.m. here. I don't know what time it is where you are. But if you're in the chat, say hi. Hey, who's in here? Who's in here? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey guys, who's in the chat? Who's in the chat? I've been off YouTube Live for a couple of days now. I'm just popping by to say hi. I'm gonna post some clips of some of the lives I've done in the past for the next few days. I haven't worked on writing any new content. I've been a bit overwhelmed with the Epstein files. I saw pictures of children. That was devastating. Funny enough, my friend told me that there is mention of targeting programs, targeted organized organized crime in the Epstein files, and that even Epstein was complaining about being targeted, which goes to show you that even the lowest form of scum, narcissists, psychopaths, they still manage to see themselves as victims, targeted victims. I mean, don't get me wrong. A lot of us who are being targeted have been caught committing crimes in the midst of being targeted, because we all commit crimes. I mean, you know, if you look hard enough into anybody's life, you'll figure out that everybody's a criminal. But we're talking about trafficking children, and he was complaining about being targeted. I think that is rich. Grammy says, what is in the American water? Y'all have weirdos, rich people." And it's not just Americans. You know, it's not just Americans. Unfortunately, these kinds of things happen everywhere. Ultimate power corrupts ultimately, as they say. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Getting previews of the files has been very, It destroyed something in me. It destroyed something in me to know that my mother was right when she told me they eat people. Uh, the elites, they eat people. They sacrifice people, children. And I was just like, are you nuts? Are you okay? It turns out she was right. It destroyed something in me to find that out. She used to call them vampires. Mm. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Um, I saw a little too much. I saw an Instagram reel that made me cry. I haven't really been the same since I saw that Instagram reel. It wasn't about the Epstein files, but every now and then I'll see something about the Epstein files. It was about war, but it involved mostly children. Well, 100% children, and I wish I didn't see it. I mean, I think people should see it. Anyways, it hurt me. Who's Mud? Who are you calling Mud? How's your morning, guys? How are you guys doing? Hmm? Hopefully, good things are happening in your life. I hope you guys have good things going on in your life. Getting my ass. You want to get me mad for no reason? Good luck. I mean, there's always a reason if you're trying to get me mad. You have a reason. Now, you may not know the reason. Somebody might have told you to get me mad, but that's a tall glass to drink, getting me mad. You'd have an easier time getting me sad. And to tell you the truth, you say the wrong thing to me, I'm gonna block you, so. Anyways, so yeah, I took a small break from making videos. Like I said, I'm gonna make some clips of the long form videos I made, the lives, just to have some content out there, get the information about what's happening to us out there. But yeah, I was really shocked to find out that the gang stalking program is mentioned in the Epstein files on many pages, like maybe 8 or 10 pages mention the program. I just thought that was. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't understand the concept in which it's being presented. I'm not going through that. I'm not going through the Epstein files, but I thought it was interesting that it's mentioned as something that is true, that is actually happening. Hey James, good morning. Ashley, just found your channel. I watched a few of your lives yesterday. I hope you like the channel. I hope I'm giving you hope. I hope I'm doing a good job of what it is that I'm trying to do, which is give people going through what I'm going through some hope, some tips on how to handle the situation. But mostly what I want to do is I want to change people's mind states, because a lot of what this program is, the gang stalking program, is demoralization, you know? So oftentimes they'll cause things in your life, whether it be losing your jobs, depression, you know, anything, right? They'll cause it in your life, and then they'll shame you for the symptoms of these things they cause in your life. Like, for example, you might be depressed, and you do things that people do when they're depressed, whether it be, substance abuse, anger, um, isolation, weight gain, right? And then they'll try to shame you for these things that they cause in your life. So I just think it's important to share the information with people that, you know, these people who have spied on you and who are spreading information about you, whether true or false information, it really doesn't matter. Um, they have no place to shame you about anything. As a wise man said in one of his videos that I really like, he said, "I don't care if you did mess up. I don't care if they have something on you, if they caught you doing something. I don't care. What does everybody need? What does everybody deserve at the end of the day? Grace, mercy, you know, these people are violating your privacy and would somehow claim to be more righteous than you are, or righteous at all." So this was an important message to me. It really made a difference in how I saw my situation. I feel like they were able to make me have self-doubt and make me feel shame about myself. I have a lot of financial issues that are causing a lot of issues in my life, and all of these issues are caused by the gang stalking. Um, but I internalize a lot of these things that I'm going through as if they were my fault, when in reality I'm being sabotaged. So these words really helped me. Hopefully I help other people, including you, Ashley, if you're still here. Um, I saw I saw a post that said something really really interesting, and it was, let me read this. It was they, and when they say they, they're talking about the U.S. government. They are compiling domestic terrorist lists and databases while quietly building a nationwide ghost network of detention sites for migrants. doesn't take a tinfoil hat to see where this is going. And I've been having conversations with a lot of TIs lately. People telling me their stories, of course, but also people who are learned historians in a certain sense. People that understand history, that understand that history repeats itself, and that see the signs, that recognize patterns. And what they're saying is that what is happening to us is usually a precursor to a great injustice that is going to fall upon the population. And when I read this, and I'll read it again because I think it's worth hearing. They, the US government, they are compiling domestic terrorist lists and databases. Domestic terrorists, they're talking about targeted individuals. They're compiling domestic terrorist lists and databases while quietly building a nationwide ghost network of detention sites, prison, for profit prisons, uh, for migrants. I mean, they're literally building new for profit prisons for migrants. Now, if a migrant enters a country illegally and is taken by the law, they're usually deported. Building building for-profit prisons for them seems inefficient because how long are these prisons going to be useful for, right? Um, I really believe that something big is going to fall on our heads, and I think it involves taking away America's First and Second Amendment, right? So it'll be, well, your First Amendment is you say the wrong thing, you will be held in a detention site for further investigation because you are on the domestic terrorist list, um, on the database for saying the wrong thing. Now, furthermore, I think that the Second Amendment will be taken because you can you can go to Minnesota where they have pretty strict firearm control. I want to see ICE go to Arizona. I want to see ICE go to New Mexico, you know? I mean, there's a lot more armed Americans down there than in peaceful Minnesota. Peaceful and democratic Minnesota. And yet there are way more illegal immigrants in New Mexico and Arizona, as I'm sure you are aware. But they went to the northeast to grab illegals. The more I look at this program, I just see somebody who likes to make others uncomfortable. I just think of a scale. You put more weight on the person, they sink, and so it elevates them. It's subtle but discreet in the beginning. You get attempts way below anything of gang stalking, which is the first red flag and a bad sign that this gang stalking excessive force to cause discomfort. It's an interesting point. After I tried to get a pardon in 2022 for a nonviolent gun charge from Pennsylvania, my gang stalking really ramped up. It's been 3.5 years now. Nonviolent gun charge? Where did you have an illegal firearm? Is that what the nonviolent gun charge was? You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to talk about it, James. As a matter of fact, Maybe you should check with your lawyer if you should talk about that at all. Um, I think what for real though 8 said is interesting. I just think of a scale. You put more weight on the person, they sink, and so it elevates them. That's actually pretty interesting because that would explain how narcissism works. You know, narcissism see life through the lens of a zero sum game, meaning anything they gain they have to take from somebody else. So for them to go like this, you have to go like this, right? So what you say is actually pretty accurate. They cannot create for themselves; they need to take from others. So the German used the term Schadenfreude, which is deriving joy from causing somebody else's pain. That would be quite accurate. I think you have a pretty good understanding of what all of this is. Gang stalking is basically narcissistic abuse in synchronicity, organized by proxy. Um, Flying monkeys. Yeah, you get it. No carrying permit. Gun was registered to me. Oh, okay. So you were carrying, but you weren't permitted to. I got you. Well, you know what really terrified me? I don't know if you guys watched the Super Bowl. I didn't. Not because I don't think you should watch it. People are saying, "Oh, bread and circuses, don't watch this, blah blah," blah. And then it was the most watched halftime of all time. But I didn't watch it just because I don't care about football like that. Also, I was sleepy. I was in bed. But there was this commercial that ran for Ring cameras where they were saying, Ring cameras are all connected. If you lose your dog, if you lose your dog, and I can't believe they use dogs to get their messages across, their propaganda across. Well, I can't believe it, but I thought it was dirty, a dirty tactic. They're saying if you lose your dog, you just put a photo of your dog on, you know, in the software, and then they'll use the network of Ring cameras in your area or in the area where the dog was lost. And of course, Ring cameras have recognition programs like face recognition programs and things like that. And once a camera sees your dog, you'll be alerted. And they're sort of masking the idea of relinquishing your freedom and privacy by basically, you know, buying Ring cameras, which turn into flock cameras. And in exchange, you're getting security, right? It's like, oh, if your dog is lost or if your child is lost, we'll find them. Brought to you by the same people who, you know, do horrible things. But I, uh, I mean, it's so in your face, and I just think to myself, if the person I was 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, before I actually knew about this program. Now, I knew I was being gang stalked. I just didn't know what gang stalking was. I didn't know it was a thing that happened to other people. I thought it was just somebody has it out for me, you know? But 2 years ago, I realized that, oh, no, no, no. They don't just have it out for me. And it's not just me. And now I know their tactics. Um, but 5 years ago, I would have seen this commercial and I would have been like, wow, so cool. And today I'm like, oh, this will be the end of us. This will be the end of us. Because they're taking away more and more rights and freedoms that we have in order to exchange us the feeling of security. Here, take this. Feel secure. We have your best interest at heart while they take away your freedoms and your rights. So eventually they'll take your First Amendment. I mean, that's coming. A lot of people don't realize that. That's coming. Your First Amendment right will be taken. But it's not just that your First Amendment right will be taken. They are spying on us, not just us targeted individuals, you know? In order to be able to recruit your friends, your family into this program, they're also spying on them. They're spying on all of us, everybody, right? And they're not just spying on us, they're stockpiling evidence on us. And once they take away our First Amendment rights, now they can go back in the log and see, what did you say about 9/11? What did you say about the war in Iraq and the war in Afghanistan? It's very un-American of you. Come with us. We have some questions for you. No, no, no. Don't worry about it. We'll just take you to this facility that was built in 2025 that was being used for holding migrants. But now that all the migrants are gone, come with us. We have this staff of high school dropouts that we gave firearms to, and they will question you. People don't realize, like, that's coming. I mean, I've seen a lot of world leaders speak at the World Economic Forum about lowering the number the, of the population as this great thing, this sign of advancement, of progress. And I've also heard a lot of world leaders speak about the fact that they need to take away our First Amendment or your First Amendment because we don't have freedom of speech in Canada. We never had it. We don't have it. Um, but America does. You can be racist. You can say racist things and nothing's going to happen to you in America. Now you may lose your job, but you're not getting imprisoned for it because you have your First Amendment. Being racist is not a crime. Now, committing rape, criminal acts motivated by racism, that's a hate crime. That's completely different. But being racist, that's not a crime. You can't get arrested for being racist. In Canada, you can. In the UK, you can. And guys, obviously, I'm not for racism. You can see that, right? What I am saying is I'm not okay with people getting arrested for free speech. That's one thing I like about America. You have free speech. And hate speech is free speech. Now, in my country, hate speech is a crime. And I have nothing to say about that. I'm only saying that I like the fact that Americans have free speech. But what you need to understand is that when they start building a ghost network of for-profit prisons, they have to, once all the migrants are gone, the illegal immigrants are gone, they're still going to have to fill up these prisons. What do you think they're going to do? I mean, they're already, arresting people, but it's not going to be enough to fill all these new prisons. So they're going to have to make some normal behaviors that you display every day. They're going to have to make these behaviors legal. It's the same thing they did back in the days when they wanted to imprison black people after the end of slavery. They made foraging illegal. Foraging, going out into the forest and picking out berries and fruits that no one owns, wild berries, that became illegal because black folks were free, but they didn't have jobs, so they needed to forage in order to survive. And then they made their survival illegal. What else? Walking by a railroad, right? Black people would travel. They couldn't afford train tickets, so they would walk by the train tracks, walk along the railroads to travel. They made that illegal. Put black people in prison for that. And then you figured out, what else do black people do that we could imprison them for? Oh, they smoke marijuana. Marijuana became illegal. And then they flooded America. The CIA, by the way, it's a well-known fact. The CIA flooded America with cocaine in order to fund the war in Nicaragua to fight communism. And then, black people not being able to afford cocaine were left to transform it into crack. And cocaine became illegal, even though it was legal and it was available pretty much everywhere. It was in everything. It was in Coca-Cola. It was in medicine. It was in everything. You would go to the doctor and ask him for cocaine, and he would give it to you, right? It was on the shelves at drugstores. But then when black people started using it and used it in the form of crack, the sentences for crack became much harsher because it was pretty much only black people and poor people who used cocaine in the form of crack. And there's no difference between, I mean, I'm not going to tell you how to make crack, but the only ingredient that is added to cocaine in order to make crack is baking soda. That's it, just baking soda, right? Um, but the sentences, you get caught with cocaine, you might get like 2, 3 years, maybe probably less. You get caught with crack, you're getting a football number, like you're getting like 20 years minimum. It was because there are for-profit prisons that they needed to fill, because these for-profit prisons take contracts with corporations, and corporations love that because they get super cheap. I mean, essentially slave labor, because the people there would work for like $1 an hour, and if you're making $1 an hour, you're pretty much only making enough money to feed yourself. So essentially, you're working for food and shelter. That's slavery. I mean, that's literally how slavery worked. Is in exchange for food and shelter, you work. Slave labor is legal. It's still legal in America. Slave labor is still legal in prison. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't mean to scare anyone. These are the things I've been thinking about for the past few days. Is just the idea that everything that's happening right now is usually, it has happened before, and it's usually a precursor to awful things, terrible things coming. And they're building prisons for migrants. What about when the migrants are gone? Who do you think they're going to put in those prisons? Do you think they're going to destroy them? Do you think they're going to turn these prisons into Walmarts? What do you think is going to happen? They're going to fill these prisons up with whoever is breaking the new laws they created. And I believe the new laws how the laws are going to change in order to put people in those prisons is they're going to take away your First Amendment and your Second. All because you don't like illegal immigrants. You wanted to exchange your freedom and your rights as American because of the promise of getting rid of illegal immigrants, because they filled your head with such hatred towards illegal immigrants that you were okay with it. I heard Steve-O. I just literally just saw an interview with Steve-O and another stand-up comedian who where Steve-O was saying that most illegal immigrants are unalivers. And it was just like, what? Like, and you could tell that, like, I mean, I don't think Steve-O is a bad person. I think he's just uninformed about the topic, but 5% of the illegal immigrants being detained in these detention sites at the moment, 5% of them have violent criminal records. 5% of them. you know. Anyways, I think I made my point. What's your First Amendment? Harriet, the First Amendment is the right to free speech. In America, you have First Amendment. You can say whatever you want, as long as you're not making threats to someone or you're not making threats to a protected class, such as the LGBT community, or, you know, black people, um, women. I think these are the protected class. Jewish people. Um, yeah, these would be the protected classes of people, people that have been um, persecuted in the past. Walmarts are supposed to be future FEMA camps or something. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. They want you depleted, mentally confused, disoriented, freezing your adrenaline, keeping you in an empty cup. Yeah, I mean they want you drained at all times. Um, they want you fearful. They want you at a low vibration because you're easier to manipulate. You're easier to um, predict and control. If the program was about fear, what fear does is encourage action. There you go. They certainly don't want that. Fear makes you run, it pumps your adrenaline and blocks pain. That's not what they want. You think that's not what they want? I think someone who's fearful is predictable. I actually think that's what they want. Sorry about that. Hey, Deb. How's it going? Grand Rising. How are you? I'm glad you're here. Hey, Jem. Folks back then can't even in the same restaurant as them. Yeah, we couldn't eat in the same restaurant as them. We couldn't drink from the same water fountain as them. Um, I think something horrible is going to happen. Man. And Generation Alpha and Generation Beta are very traumatized from everything that they've experienced as children, whether it be, conflicts between countries, like just being on TV or like on YouTube at all times, being overstimulated, and also, I mean, they're just two generations that have a great lack of empathy. They're emotionally stunted, unfortunately. I just think that whatever plan they have for humanity, the world leaders, I mean, I think that Generation Alpha and Generation Beta are really primed for it. It's very easy to manipulate someone who's, I mean, as much as narcissists are very, um, you know, they're manipulators, they're evil manipulators. They're also very easy to manipulate if you know how to. And, you know, a psychopath manipulates a narcissist. That's usually how it goes. Um, you can kind of do it to gang stalkers. You can get a glimpse of how it feels and how it works instead of letting them make you feel uncomfortable. I mean, it's very hard for me to let a gang stalker make me feel uncomfortable. Um, whatever they, whatever opinion they may have of me, I just see them as like, what you think doesn't matter. You don't have a say in how I see myself. And if you knew how I see you, you wouldn't even talk to me, you know? Like, uh, but I think that this is why I said that this video of there's a video of Dr. De Facto who speaks undirected conversation. It's really worth watching. It really changed my mind. Like I said, they had succeeded in getting me to internalize a lot of things about myself, a lot of shame, a lot of the situation that I find myself in now that I'm being gang stalked, financially, depression and things like that. I really internalized a lot of it as my fault. And when I saw that video and he was basically saying like, it doesn't matter what your situation is, what they have on you, you know, like I know one of my gang stalkers was going around telling people that I had a bill that I hadn't paid, which is true. I hadn't paid it at the time, and my vet told me, "Hey, this vet bill is not paid yet, so I just want to let you know, like we can't offer you any more services until it's paid." And I said, "Oh, okay, no problem, I'll pay it." And then I did, you know, but this person went around telling people, and I say this person went around telling people because I have proof of it. The people that she messaged me, like sent me the messages saying, "Hey, this person is saying that you refuse to pay your bills at the vet and blah blah blah." And I was just like, that happened one time, and I paid it. I don't owe money to anybody. But she was going around town making it seem like I'm a person who doesn't pay their bills. I'm an awful person who doesn't keep their word and is like screwing people, which is completely untrue. Like even when somebody like will give me a deposit for like a service or something and then they change their minds and I tell them the deposit is non-refundable. I always refund it. I don't want anybody's money. I don't want to keep anybody's money. I don't want any of bad karma. I don't want you to think about me, you know, in 6 months when you're unable to feed your children because you're going through hardships and I have your deposit that I didn't give you back. No, 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 no. You can have every penny you gave to me. If you don't want my services, if you don't want to buy something from me, have your money back. Even the reason why I say the deposit is non-refundable is because I want you to be serious when you put a deposit for my services, for the work that I do. But it's not true. Just because my contracts say that the deposit is non-refundable doesn't mean anything. I've never kept anybody's deposit. You know, the only person's deposit I've ever kept is a person that put a deposit, changed their mind, and then said, "Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go for it again," and then changed their mind, and then went back and forth like maybe like a bunch of times, and then after like maybe 2 or 3 years of dealing with that, I was just like, "Hey, you know what? I hear you. I hear that you want my for services now, but I have to let you know, like, it costs me when you hold a spot, for a while, and then you at the last minute you say you don't want my services anymore. Like you're costing me money at this point. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to keep your deposit this time." And I had given that person many chances in the past, and had refunded that person, but then that person kept putting a deposit again and again and again, and I was just like, all right, you know what? If you really want my service, I'm not going to deny you my service, but I want you to know that, your deposits will no longer be refundable. The contract says they're not refundable. Anyways, I'm going on a tangent here. The point is, I don't keep people's money unless, except that person that I'm talking about. And I don't owe anybody money. I pay my debts. What's your take on the movie Matrix? Do you think if folks watched it, their third eye 26 years ago, they would be unplugged today? No, I don't. I think the only thing, much like narcissistic abuse, the only thing that opens your third eye to narcissistic abuse, which is what gang stalking is experiencing it. You know, you will, nothing opens your third eye like persecution. I believe everyone must wake up right now because what's coming is huge. Yeah. Harriet asks, "What do you think is coming?" Well, think of what is the worst atrocity you can think of. What is the worst human atrocity you can think of? I want you to, as a matter of fact, Harriet, my sister, Harriet, I want you to think of, give me your top three worst human catastrophes in history, and I'll tell you which one I think which one I think is going to get repeated. Uh, That's not what I meant. I think Nestle proposed some kind of legislation to make all water for profit they'll deem well water unsafe or whatever. Good morning, good morning. Water is currently not free. You pay utility bills. Yeah, water is not free. A Marie. A Marie, to be honest, I've had to deal for 2 years with narcissistic victim bully cyber stalkers that doxed me and put me through hell, so I hate narcissists. Don't we all? I mean, I do. I hate them. Um, yeah. You know, there's nothing that can be done when it comes to narcissists in order to change them. Narcissists don't change. The only thing that we can do is inform the population on what narcissists are and avoid putting them in power because we keep doing that. We keep putting these psychos and baby psychos, narcissists, in power, and then we're like, how come my life keeps getting worse every year? It's because you keep electing people who have no empathy in power. They're selling you out to the highest bidder every year. And but what I do think we can do is just to make sure to create a world where new narcissists are not born. And that's not easy in itself, but it starts with education. Do you think the powers that shouldn't be afraid of us? Do you think the powers that shouldn't be afraid of us? Do you think the powers that shouldn't be? I don't know what you mean. I'm sorry. I just want to see who A. Marie is. Because she's calling me a small creator. I'm like, who are you? Okay, she's got 200,000 followers. Oh, you have an interesting channel, A. Marie. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for showing love to my channel. No one is coming to save anyone. You got that right. No one's coming to save us. It's not so much of a predator chasing prey that's fear. It's terrorism. It's also not fun. I don't know what you mean. Uh, Terrorism is a predator chasing a prey. I mean, in a more complicated sense of the term, but that's what it would be. Good morning, Annette. How are you? I've only been here for about 50 minutes. Tsunami flood? No, I'm not talking about these kinds of things, Harriet. I'm talking about um, atrocities that humans have caused to other humans. I want you to name three great events, grand events where one part of the population persecuted another part of the population. And I'll tell you what I think is going to happen. We've all felt fear, and usually it's exhilarating, but you already know it's not fear. Oh, yeah, like I was saying, um, I was having a conversation with a person who's very savvy when it comes to history, and he was saying that the probability that something horrible is going to happen is very high because they're building for-profit prisons, camps, if you will. Once the migrants are all gone, who's gonna go into these prisons? Who will go into these prisons? I mean, they keep talking about taking away our freedoms, our privacy, our rights. I mean, obviously, everyone here understands we don't have a right to privacy. That's an illusion, you know. They took that away from us in 2001. They add you to the list, and your rights are gone. You know, if you're here, you know that. But I'm saying, like, your First Amendment will be taken. And that should be scary to you. I mean, because like I said, it's basically what Edward Snowden was explaining. You know, it it doesn't seem like a big deal that the NSA is spying on you through your phone. It doesn't seem like a big deal. It seems whatever, they're spying on everybody. So what? What can we do about that? It's for national security, right? NSA, national security. Um, what you need to understand is that they're not just spying on you, they're stockpiling data on you, stockpiling key moments of things you did, things you said. And even though the things you did and the things you said are not crimes right now, once I remove your First Amendment, what did you say about America? What do you think about the government? I mean, I'm just saying, you know, they're stockpiling these informations. Everything you say in DMs, everything you say at family dinner, everything you say in conversation with your spouse, everything you say in conversations with your friends on Facebook Messenger, everything you've ever posted, ever, ever, it's stockpiled. You know, they talk about these digital IDs and these social credit scores. It's already here. You just don't know your social. I mean, we know our social credit scores is zero, right? We know that because we're here. But they're talking about building a social credit score network. It's here. What do you mean lift your scale and push theirs down? Get into details. What do you mean by that? I used to turn my stereo out the window and play sound effects like fire engines sounds and car horns. Why? I used to fight back with the noise campaign. Oh, the noise campaign. When I did that with sirens and entire battalions of fire trucks and ambulances pulled up in front of my house. Hey, you gotta have fun. Is it scarier to be spied on by the government or by some creep in your neighborhood? It doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference because the government is not just going to spy on you. The government is going to recruit your neighbor to spy on you. The government is just people. It's just people. Your neighbor is a person. Your neighborhood is comprised of people. What's scary is being spied by people. And I think people don't have enough understanding of the behavior of spying. They don't have a good enough understanding of the mentality behind spying on people. Oh, yeah, they don't have a good enough understanding about the mentality behind someone who spies on people. What these people actually think, you know, how these people operate, how these people view other human beings. And if they did, they would be scared. Or maybe they are. Who knows? Celebrate Black History Month. Not everyone has a soul. We must be aware of that. Some of us have sold our souls for pretty cheap. That would have just gotten the whole neighborhood hating you. I swear to God, I must have been 17 trucks. The government is pretty scary. Not everyone is human. Not everyone has internal dialogue. Now, not everyone is human is something I can't necessarily get behind. I don't know about that. But not everyone has internal dialogue. That is 100% true. Now, a lot of people, narcissists, psychopaths, they don't have the ability to introspect, to look at themselves. They can only see you. And it is only through your actions that they see a reflection of themselves. And that's how they sort of assess who they are. It's by looking in the reflection that you give them, right? Which is why narcissists are very kind to strangers and very charming with strangers, and then with their families, they're impatient, they're short, they're abusive. It's because when they look at you, they remember all the mistakes that they made and all the issues that they've had with you, and they don't like the self-image that you give them of themselves. But when they look at strangers, they see a clean slate. So they love strangers and they'll do a lot of things for strangers and, you know, put their families on a back burner for strangers because strangers make them feel better. Meanwhile, their own families, their friends, their loved ones, they constantly remind them that they're not perfect, that they've made mistakes before, which is something that they cannot deal with. So, oh boy, that boy getting choked out. Okay. Um, Name three things that could happen. Yeah. Name three, Harriet, name three catastrophes that men have brought upon other men. That, one side of the population has put another side of the population through. I mean, slavery could be one of them. It's Black History Month. We could talk about slavery. Confidence is really about doing the hard things. The program combines a multitude of things. It attacks confidence, causes terror, and puts your life in danger all at the same time. That's true. I could say it's an attack on confidence, but it's much deeper and worse than that. It's terrorism. If they wanted to merely attack your confidence, your life wouldn't be hard. Hmm. Lift your scale and push theirs down. It leaves you not doing the hard things, extremely uncomfortable, and constantly on edge due to the lack of safety protocols. Yeah, I mean, it's terrorism of the mind, psychological warfare. It's making you too scared to do anything, keeping you in survival mode, fight, flight, freeze, fun. Tsunami, flood, wars with superhuman soldiers, fire. Well, when it comes to wars with superhuman soldiers, you're about as, that would be the closest thing as far as what I think is going to happen. Harriet, they're building prisons. They're building prisons. They're building a ghost network of prisons. I mean, it's like I said, when they abolished slavery, I'm sorry, somebody's being weird in the chat. Okay. Sorry, I had to ban somebody real quick. um, I went from living in a nice house to living in a Los Angeles mission. I'm currently in a dorm with 60 other people. Dang. Yeah, like I said, they're building prisons, for-profit prisons. Once all the migrants are gone, the illegal immigrants are gone, they're gonna have to fill these prisons up. And what happened after slavery was abolished? They didn't just let black people go and be, free. They were seen as, you know, lesser than animals. And then they were seen as three-fifths of a man. The war on terror? What do you mean the war on terror? They are the terror. What terror? Man, moving to Thailand. That's true. I've seen a lot of African Americans move to Thailand, actually. I don't know about white Americans or Caucasians or what, non-black Americans, but I have seen um, a lot of black people move to Thailand. It's the first time in my time that I've seen people come to America, whether it be Canada or the U.S., and then quickly leave. They're just like, this is terrible. If I'm gonna suffer, I might as well go do it in my country. Like I was already suffering over there. I'm not gonna come suffer over here, away from my family. I'm just gonna go back to my family and suffer over there. What do you mean by the war on terror? I think this is why lots of America. Yeah. Anyways, guys, I've been here for an hour. My wife woke up. I think I'm gonna go say hi to my wife. See if she's made breakfast or if she wants breakfast. Oh, Cosmic Queen, sorry about that. I did reply to your message though, Cosmic Queen. I don't know if you replied back. I haven't checked actually. Um, I think actually I came on the live because because you you had messaged me and said that you wanted to talk to me. I think somebody asked me to come on live. I think it was you. I'm not sure. Yeah, Doctor De Facto was really good. Really good. I don't know. I think I want to make her some eggs if she's not already making them. But yeah, I'm gonna go have breakfast with my wife. I'll be back. Maybe later or tomorrow. But if you need to chat, just send me a message. All right. I'm gonna head out. As always, as Doctor De Facto says, you deserve grace. You deserve mercy. And love yourself first. Always. Have a good day, guys.